What's going on, y'all? Hello, hey, hi, it's me, Mr. Dale G, and I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome you guys to This Is Life TV. This Is Life is a creative outlet and lifestyle brand with a focus on self expression, connection, life, and the things that go on within it. It's my mission to live life and take the things that I'm learning and turn it into something that not only I can learn from, but something that can then inspire somebody else. So as you guys can see by the title of the video, this video is about waiting on God's timing and not trying to do it on my own understanding or settling for something lower than what God has for me because I tried to do it in my own timing. I'm currently in a place where I feel like I have no choice. Not only do I feel, I know I have no choice but to rely on God. I'm in a spot where it's like I think I can try to do it on my own, but I know that if I keep trying, I'm gonna close what God has for me. I'm gonna conceal myself in a own box because I can't do anything on my own. So I have to believe in God and in His timing and have faith that He will work on my behalf and He has something great for me planned. The thing about that is that it hurts. It hurts waiting on God. It hurts to rely on God. And I say this as a person that's very ambitious. Like there's no slouch in me. I'm not lazy. When I have something that I'm focused on that I want, I'm on it. Like I'm a pit bull on a toy. I'm locked on it. I'm all in. But like I said, I'm in a place where it's like I know I can't do anything. I can't do this. I can't get to the next step on my own. So I have to rely on God. I have to rely on His time. I have to wait for His timing. There was an experience a couple years ago where instead of trying to rely on God and wait for God's timing, I actually settled, literally settled, and received something less than what it is that God had planned for me. But we'll get into that later on. In regards to my current situation, I am living in a shelter here in New York. I actually started this shelter journey, and I'll explain more about it in depth, how I started, my experience with it. I'll explain that in another video, but for just keeping it short for this video, I moved into this. I started my shelter journey Christmas Day. 6 months I've been here, and the good thing about the shelter is not only do they provide you with a place to lay your head with food and an opportunity to try again, depending on what your situation was, they also help you find an apartment. And if you know anything about New York City real estate and rentals and whatnot, it's expensive. It is not cheap. So it's been 6 months that I've been in this shelter. And last month, I just got my voucher, which is basically something that helps you to then get an apartment. But the thing is that with looking for this apartment, it's like I said, I'm very ambitious. I'm gonna do what I can on my own in my own time. I'm gonna get things done. But like I've been getting so many no's or non-responses or calling people's numbers, realtors' numbers, and they don't answer. What's frustrating about that is that honestly, even though I'm super grateful for the shelter and the what the city, the state provides, it's not a conducive, it's not a productive, it's not a healthy environment to be in. Not everybody there is like, okay, I messed up at one point and I'm trying to do better. I'm focused on XYZ. You have people that came from jail or they were whatever their story is. You can just see the people that are focused and trying to get somewhere, and then you can see the others that think this is a hangout. This is time to, play around. And that's not me. No judgment on them. That's not me. I don't, even though I'm grateful for it, I don't enjoy being in a shelter system. I love my peace. I love my alone time. So now that I'm at the point of being able to get an apartment, I have my voucher in hand, and now it's just the next step of getting in touch with the realtor, doing an inspection, and getting into that apartment. I feel like I'm even more pressured and more anxious to get out. I'm more determined to get out. I'm more focused on getting out. My energy is more like rushed and anxious. I want to go. I want to get out of there. So now that I feel like I'm just right there at the finish line, like I could reach out and touch the finish line. Now that I'm there and things are not moving as snap fast as I want them to, I'm realizing that, God may want me to learn some things. And those lessons that I think He wants me to learn are: one, having faith in God's plan and allowing Him to move in His time, not in mine. As I've stated probably multiple times already in this video, I'm in a place where I can't do things on my own, despite wanting to do things on my own. I'm constantly getting either no response, or this unit isn't available, or calling people and they're just not answering their phones no matter how many times I call. I'm realizing like I'm keep bumping into this wall, like the door is not opening. And I'm thinking that like I focus on signs. When signs or things happen in repetition, I'm like, okay, something is happening that needs me to pay attention to it. And I'm realizing like, okay, God might just want me to just have faith in Him and how He moves and in His timing, and not try to do it so much in my time. Like, doing it in my time, I may end up settling for the first thing I get just because I'm so desperate to get out of there. I may end up settling for a room or a space, excuse me, for an apartment that's lesser than what God has for me because I'm so desperate to move from this next place. With faith, it comes with not seeing by my own too, but tapping into God and realizing that, okay, and that He does want the best for me. He does want me to move. He does want to move me into my next best spot, into my next best position. And me and my flesh and my impatience is what's going to keep me from not having that happen. So I need to be faithful and I need to tap into God and just allow Him to move in His own time, not mine. Two, it ties into the first point. So it's like a bullet point of lesson one. It's to not be so impatient and not try to do it in my own time. As I've expressed, I'm grateful for the shelter system, but I do want to move out of that environment. I love my own peace. I love being an independent person. I pride myself on being able to get things done on my own and take care of myself. So I'm anxious to move forward. I'm anxious to get up out of there. But doing that it's bringing a lot along. It's bringing along a lot of feelings of impatience and me wanting to do it on my own. And like I said, it ties into point A. I have to have faith and rely on God to move in His timing. I've been trying to do it on my own and I'm seeing I keep hitting a wall. I got to rely on God. Lesson three: leaning not on my own understanding. And this could tie in with lesson one, this could tie in lesson one, point A. But leaning not on my own understanding would also show that, I have to have faith in God and His timing. If I'm going to lean on my own understanding, I'm going to think that by the people I'm contacting, the amount of text I'm sending, the amount of calls I'm sending out and people not responding, I would think that, okay, like maybe I'm doomed. And I have thought this. I have fell into little states of depression because I did think like, yo, man, maybe I'm just bound to be stuck here. Like maybe there's nothing next to me, and I fall into this loop of like getting into a really bad mood and this really depressive state of thinking that um, things are not going to work out for me, even though I so badly want to be successful. I so badly want to do good. Leaning on my own understanding would have me be like, okay, because I don't see things working out, that it's not working out. And if I have faith and I trust in God, I'm able to, and I'm not gonna say I'm always gonna be optimistic. I'm always gonna be, yes, this is gonna work out. There's gonna be moments where I'm like, damn, shit is messed up and it's not gonna work out. But leaning not on my own understanding, having faith in God and moving in His timing and not trying to be so impatient and doing it on my own timing would allow me to build myself back up and be like, okay, I'm in a sucky mood right now, but I know that God got it. I know that God has a plan. I know that He's working on something. And I could just take a deep breath, feel what I'm feeling, and get back into it. The last, but I think they're all pretty big lessons, but the last and I think might be the biggest lesson is going through this test, withstanding the attacks, and just coming out victorious. I do believe that this lesson ties all of them in, and this is the bow on the box of lessons that I need to learn. Um, Sometimes when things don't go my way, I do relapse into like bad habits. I may go smoke some weed, even though I know God has told me that smoking weed is not good for me. And I've learned through my studying, my Bible studying, just getting close with God, that when I do things that aren't for me and that He's told me not to do, such as smoking, it opens me up to attacks. It allows the devil to get in my energy, get in my spirit. It literally brings my spirit down. So it's just this withstanding, having faith in God, not moving in my own time, leaning not on my own understanding, dealing with impatience, and withstanding the attacks and falling back. These are all things that I believe I could be learning in this time, and I'm working hard on. I am working hard on. So as I mentioned earlier in the video, one big thing that I realized like is replaying, or like as they say, history repeats itself. One big thing that I have replaying in my life is that 2020 I got into a bad motorcycle accident. A car put out into a lane, and me and my motorcycle I T-boned the car. So it's like me flying into a brick wall. For 6 months, first of all, excuse me, before that, I had to move out of the place that I was staying at. The place that I was living at, the people were deciding to sell the house because COVID was going on. So no blame on them. They needed the money. They did what they had to do. So I had to move out of there. Before the move out date happened, I got into this motorcycle accident. So I ended up living with my best friend who I lived with before previously. So for me, it felt like not only was I crashed up, I was like literally in the space where I can't move and have to rely on people, but then I felt like I was going backwards. And as I said, I'm a very ambitious person. I'm not lazy. I pride myself on moving forward. I pride myself on being able to take care of myself. So feeling like I'm going, like I've worked all this way to move forward, to then going backwards. And also, mind you, I had started my second business. I had a dog walking company on the rich and wealthy side of New York City, the Upper West Side. And I had clients, and due to COVID, I had to shut that down. So not only did I have to shut down my business, I couldn't work anymore. I'm jammed up, I'm broken up, and then I'm moving back into a place where I felt like, okay, I've overcome this, I've passed this. So I wasn't doing good. I was there for 6 months, and luckily, the silver lining in this was that since it was not my fault, the accident wasn't my fault. There was a settlement. I mean, excuse me, there was a chance of compensation for my accident. The thing, and here's where the story ties in. Here's where I realized I gotta not do it on my own time. Like I've came to this junction before. Um, Working with my attorney, they were like, I could either settle for $170,000, or I could ride this out. I could ride out the courts getting back in session because COVID, everything was shut down. I could ride it out and potentially get 1.5 million, and it would probably round out to a million because after giving the attorney his cut, it would probably be a million. So it's either settle and get $170,000 right now, or ride it out for who knows how long and get a million. Now let me stop and ask y'all, what would y'all do? Being in my position of being jammed up, hurt, not being able to move out on your own, not being able to do your own thing, no longer being in your own space, but then no longer being able to work. You had to shut down your business, and then you're moving back into a place where you had felt like you moved forward from. You could either get the 170, or you could wait it out. You could get the 170 right now, or you could wait it out or get 1 million. What would you do? I'm I'm gonna tell you what I did. Me having listed all those things that I was dealing with, I so anxiously and so happily settled for the 170. I never had money in my life before. I never had no money like that in my life where it's like, yo, when you working, I started my first business, my first brand, my first company when I was 18, and then my second business when I was 25. So like I always had ambitions of, being successful. I've always had ambitions of seeing myself, living comfortably. So when somebody was like, okay, 170, I'm like, yo, bro, I'm rich. 170, bro, I'm like, I made it. Like I'm good. Like this is it. I settled for the 170. And I'll tell y'all, man, if y'all never had money before, $170,000 is not a lot of money, man. In today's day and age, it's not a lot of money, especially when you do like I did and you spend it on things that you weren't necessary. You spend it on things that you always wanted to do, but then you realize it's not a lot of money. I bought, I went and put $25,000 down on my first car. I bought another motorcycle for 13,000. I bought an apartment. I rented an apartment for about a year and a half at $2,300 a month. I bought a $4,500 French bulldog, which I ended up giving to my sister. The car I ended up giving back. I ended up selling it because I couldn't afford it. The apartment I ended up almost getting evicted because I ran out of money. The motorcycle I had to sell because I was running out of money. I did give away about like $12,000, and I also invested in something that I always wanted to invest in, a faceless YouTube channel. You might have seen all those advertisements for it. I invested in a faceless YouTube channel, and it didn't kick off as I thought it would. They did a really good job of selling it, and it just didn't click like I thought it would. It didn't, boom like it was projected to. So all this money I had put into everything, and then it's like a year or so down, I'm like, bro, I'm about to be broke. Like I'm about to be broke. And because I settled and I did not wait for God to move in his time, I ended up pretty much broke. I ended up in as I said, sold the car, sold the motorcycle, gave the dog to my sister, had to almost be evicted out of apartment, had to move. Um, and that move is what ended me up here in the shelter now. But now that I'm at this point, I realize that because I did not want to wait it out, I did not want to wait for God to move. I settled for way less, way, 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 way less than what God had for me. God wanted to give me 1 million. I wanted to settle for 170 because I was impatient, because I was so desperate to get up out of my situation and live the life that I thought was good enough for me. I don't know if you guys have ever had to do it, anything like that, but if you have the chance to, and you're praying for God to move and work in his time, if I, based off my experience and what I'm going through now, if I could kind of like help you to say, yo, let me stick with what I'm doing, let me ride it out until God decides to move, let me keep my patience at bay, let me keep my desperation out of the picture. I don't know what God has planned for you, but I'm certain it's going to be better than what you have planned for yourself. I don't, like in this instance, I don't know what God has planned for me, but I'm tweaking myself. I'm guiding myself. I'm changing myself. I'm changing my mindset on a daily. Every time I fall into a depressive state, I'm picking myself back up and saying, yo, I don't know what I got going on. I mean, I don't know what God has going on, but I'm certain it's going to be better than what I have planned for myself. What God has is going to be better than for me settling for a little studio when he might have a 1 bedroom or a 2 bedroom with a balcony and a dishwasher and pet friendly, who knows what, in a space where I'm able to build my future endeavors and meet people. Who knows? Because I want to settle so badly, because I want to get up out of my situation so badly, I might mess up and fall completely short of what God has for me. I might miss out on $1 million and go settle for $100,000, $170,000 because I'm impatient. Don't do a me. Don't be a me, man. Don't have this story to tell. Or if you want to, your story might be to help somebody else. Your path may be to help somebody else with what you're going through. But don't pull a me and miss out on your blessings because you decided to allow your impatience to win and take over. So that's what I got today, guys. That was a topic. I hope you guys learned something. You felt something. If the video moved you in any way, feel free to subscribe and join and follow along with This Is Life TV. I love y'all, and just remember, through the highest of highs and the lowest of lows, this is life. Mr. Delogy, I'm out of here.